Welcome back, everyone. Today we are going to be doing biology. This is the paper 2 multiple choice extended version, and we are doing the May-June 2019 paper 2. This is the version 2. We have 45 minutes to do this, so let's get started. So, question number 1. Carbon dioxide diffuses into a leaf. Which characteristics of living things require this? Well, we have to know that carbon dioxide diffuses into a leaf. What characteristic of leaves requires this? Now, this is actually something that has to do with nutrition, because leaves, they undergo photosynthesis, in which they take in carbon dioxide and water, producing glucose, sugar, and oxygen for us to breathe. Now, this is a part of nutrition. So, number 1, the answer is C. Okay, question number 2. The diagram shows how Homo sapiens could have evolved from earlier ancestors. So Homo sapiens, Homo something something, Homo erectus, and Homo habilis. Okay, which statement about modern people and their ancestor is correct? Now you can see that there is a very recurring pattern here. The Homo is going on. So whenever you see the scientific names, you have to know that scientific name is made of 2 parts using the binomial system. This is called the species and genus. Right. I'm sorry, it is genus and species. So, genus is actually with capital letters and species is with S. So, what can we say about this? Well, they are in the same genus because they all have Homo in front of them. So they are in the same genus, but not in the same species. Because you can see the species names are different. Erectus, habilis, Heidelbergensis, and sapiens. So you can see that they're not the same. So the obvious answer would be C. Question number 3. Heart muscle cells have a high rate of metabolism. Which structure do they require to be present in large or high numbers? Well, heart muscles do have a high rate of metabolism because they have to contract and relax constantly. So which structure do they require to be behind them? If they want high metabolism, always remember that mitochondria is the one to go, because mitochondria actually is the powerhouse of the cell, in which it produces ATP, adenosine triphosphate. This is the energy. So B. Question number 4. Which features are possessed by all plant cells? Now, all plant cells will contain a cell wall, and all plant cells will contain a cell wall. However, not all plant cells contain chloroplast. So this is something that most people get wrong often, because most plant cells contain chloroplast, but not all plant cells contain chloroplast. So so that's one of the questions. Question number 5. The diagram shows a vessel in the plant stem. The magnification is 400. Now, what is the actual width of the xylem vessels along XY? Now, if this is a magnification question, now whenever you approach these kinds of questions, I would suggest you to measure them in millimeters. However, you can see that the multiple choice, the options that are given are in micrometers. So if you measure it in millimeters, convert it to micrometers, and you have to know your conversion factors. So I have actually go ahead and measured it for you. So, but firstly, you have to know the magnification formula. So magnification is image size over actual size. So it is asking you the actual width, so we can rearrange the formula equation. Actual size is equal to image size over magnification. Now the image size is the size that you are going to measure from X to Y. Now this size is actually 31 millimeters, and we are going to convert it into micrometers, because 1 millimeter, remember, is 1000 micrometers. So we're going to multiply with 1000 is micrometers. Now the magnification is given 400. We're going to divide by 400. Now this is going to give us an answer of 87.5. Somewhere close to that. So the answer is going to be C. Okay, question number 6. The diagram shows a test tube containing clear jelly. A drop of blue ink is injected into the middle of the jelly. The blue color of the ink spread throughout the jelly. By which process does the blue ink spread? Now this is clearly a demonstration, or like a demonstration of the fusion occurring. Right. So this is the fusion that is occurring here, because the ink that is very concentrated in this one drop is going to spread around in this jelly substance. So it's basically the same analogy as you use when you spray your perfume. When you spray your perfume, the perfume is going to diffuse into the air from a region of high concentration to a region of lower concentration. That is something that you have to remember. Question number 7. Which process describes osmosis? Now, osmosis is actually basically a special type of diffusion. And it is really important. It's a special type of diffusion, as in the special type meaning water. For water exclusively, it is called osmosis. So this is the diffusion of water through a partially permeable membrane. So the answer is B. Okay, so you have to actually know what osmosis means, right? Or another definition that you can give is that osmosis is the movement of water molecules from a region of high water potential to a region of lower water potential. That's something that you could say. Question number 8. Which rows show the chemical elements contained in fats? Now, fats actually contain these 3 elements. They are carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Note, it is really important to note that fats do not contain nitrogen, and the substance that actually contain nitrogen is only protein. So only proteins contain protein. So it will be everything except nitrogen. So the first A, the option number A, seems like a reasonable answer. Question number 9. Small molecules are used as a basic unit in synthesis of large food molecules. Which statement is correct? Amino acids are the basic units of carbohydrates. Now this is clearly wrong, because amino acids are actually the building blocks or the monomers of proteins. So we can cross out option number A. Now fatty acids are basic units of glycogen. Now this is also wrong. Now if you were to say that triglycerides, fatty acids and glycogen are the basic unit of triglyceride, then it would be correct, but in this case it is wrong. Right, so we can cross out option number B. Glycerol is the basic unit of oil. Now this is correct, because oils is the same as triglyceride. Most oils are triglyceride, and we know that glycerol is going to be made out. Glycerol and fatty acids are going to make up the basic unit of oils. So C is the correct answer. Question number 10. The diagram shows a protease enzyme catalyzing the breaking of a part of protein molecule into small pieces. Which diagram has 3 correct labels? Now here we can see that this is showing a protease enzyme that is breaking down molecular protein into smaller pieces. Okay, it's breaking down, or basically chopping up this polypeptide chain. Now which diagram has the correct labels? Now this is definitely the enzyme. The product is actually these 2, which is being broken down. So these are actually the products. And the substrate is actually this long polypeptide chain, or this long protein. So substrate is correct, enzyme is correct. However, the product is not correct. So A is not correct. Now let's look at option number B. Now option number B is also not correct because it says that a protein molecule is being broken down into smaller pieces, smaller pieces, and so these things should be the products, and this should be the substrate, right? And this should be enzyme, this should be active site. So B is also wrong. Option number C, you can see this part where the substrate is binding to is called the active site. Now that's correct. The enzyme is also correct, and the substrate are correct. Now if you want to add this is the product, you can call this the product as well. So C is actually the correct answer. Question 11. The diagram shows an experiment to investigate the balance between respiration and photosynthesis. In which tube are photosynthesis and respiration taking place at the same time? Now for this question, we have to know what photosynthesis and respiration is. Now is when carbon dioxide is being taken in with water. This is going to produce sucrose, glucose or sucrose plus oxygen, right? And you have to know how to balance it as well. And respiration is basically the opposite, which is glucose. The energy source is going to be oxidized into carbon dioxide and water. Now this is respiration. This is photosynthesis. So you have to know which ones are doing which. Okay, now let's look at the tubes now. Let's look at tube number A. There's water, there's snail, there's a pondweed. Now because we know that the snail, right, the snail can actually respire. The snail has to respire in order for itself to produce energy, right? Respiration is basically the energy to make energy. So the snail is continuously respiring. Now there is a pondweed, but however, remember photosynthesis we need light. So we cannot choose number A. B as well because they are covered with black polyethylene. But let's look at number C. Now in number C, you can see that there is light on there, and the pondweed can do photosynthesis, right? Via the first, now that it has light, and the plants can also respire. Now this is a very common misconception. People usually think that plants cannot respire, but plants can respire and has to respire for it to actually be able to produce stuff. So C is the correct answer, right? Question number 12. Some gardeners use Epsom salts, magnesium sulfate, as fertilizers for their plants. Epsom salts release magnesium ions into the soil. How would this benefit the plant? Now this a fact that you have to know is that magnesium ions actually contribute. They are used to make chlorophyll, and this is the green pigment that is found in chloroplast. So if there is more magnesium, there is more chlorophyll, then there is more photosynthesis. Now if there is more photosynthesis, then then it will prevent the leaves from going yellow, right? Because chlorophyll is actually a green pigment. Now if there is a large amount of chlorophyll that's being made, then it's going to obviously turn green, so it just prevents the leaves from going yellow. Okay, question 13. A food label is from a packet of cereal. The label can help someone who is concerned about their diet. Okay, a person eats 45 grams of cereal. One of the food types listed in the label can prevent constipation. How many grams of this food type does this person eat? One of the food types listed. Okay, we have to know the substance which helps in digesting, which helps constipation. Now this substance is called fiber, and fibers are really great way. That's why you should eat fibers in your diet. Now these fibers could be vegetables like spinach, lettuce, right? Carrots, right? These are all fibers containing fiber-rich compounds now. So this is the part that we are looking for. And this person eats 45 grams. Now in this is the value of 100 grams, right? In 100 grams, there is 2.8 grams of fiber. In 45 grams, which is the person that is eating the cereal, how many of grams does this person eat? Now, this is a very simple ratio question. So 45, right, multiply 2.8 times 100%, and this is 1.26. This is approximately equal to 1.3 grams, so A is definitely a correct answer. Question 14. The cholera bacterium produces toxins that causes chloride ions to be secreted into small intestine. How does this affect the water potential of the blood in the intestinal capillaries and in the intestinal content? Now, the water potential blood in the capillaries are going to be raised. However, the content of the small intestine is going to be lowered. Now, why is this? Well, the cholera bacterium produces these toxins. These toxins causes chloride ions to be shifted into the small intestine. So from cells to small intestine. So chloride ions are basically solute potential. They have solute potential. If there are more solute potential, high solute dissolve in water, high chloride ions dissolve in water. Now this means there is less water potential there. So in the cells, once chlorides move into the small intestine, there is more chloride ions in the small intestine, so the water potential in the small intestine is lowered. However, the originally where the chloride ion came from is from the cells, and these cells have less less chloride ions, so therefore the water potential is going to be higher. So the answer is C. Question 15. A person eats some cheese which contains a lot of fats and protein. Which row shows the combination of substances that will digest the cheese most effectively? Now, cheese is made up of fats and protein as mentioned above. Now, we have to know the enzymes or substances which helps break down the cheese really fast. Now, protein, we need protease enzyme to break it down. For fats, we can actually use lipase. However, it wants to break down, digest the most effectively, most quickly. So we need another substance called bile. And bile is a substance that's produced in the gallbladder, which is below your liver. And this bile substance actually emulsify fats. Emulsify fats. So it can be the large globules of fats can be transformed into small droplets of it. So we will need bile, we will need lipase, we will need protease, but we don't need amylase. Now amylase is an enzyme that digests or break down starch. Okay, so D is the correct answer. Question 16. A celery stalk was placed in a beaker of blue dye. When the dye reaches the leaves, the stalk was taken out and a section was cut. Which diagram shows the appearance of the cut end of the stalk? Now, the blue dye is going to travel up the xylem. So the xylem is actually going to look something like this. Right, this is the xylem and phloem. This is a picture that you have to be recognized with. This is the xylem. And when you cut it, you can see that the blue dye is inside the xylem where water is transported. So B is definitely the correct answer. Okay, so B is definitely the correct answer. Question 17. The diagram shows the rate of flow of water through a tree over a 12-hour period. What conclusion can be drawn from the table? Now we see 7 hour, 9 hour, 11, 13, 15, 17, 19. Now rate of flow per hour actually increases up to the point of this, but then it will also decreases here. It increases up until 3 o'clock or 15 o'clock, and decreases starting from 17 o'clock to 19 o'clock. So what conclusions can be drawn? Now that's a good option. In between 7 and 17 hours, the rate of flow continuously increases. Now this is false, because we said 7 to 15 increase, 17 to 19 will decrease. So let's look at option B. The greatest increase in rate of flow in a 2-hour period is between 11 and 13 hours. Now 11 and 13 hours is a true 11:40, 2:50. We can work out the difference between them. 250 minus 140. Now this is equal to 110. Now that is in fact the greatest increase in rate of flow, so B is the correct answer. Question 18. The diagram shows some potato tubers. New shoots are beginning to grow. Sucrose is being translocated from source to sink. Which statement is correct? Sucrose is being translocated from source to sink. So we can see that the tubers is where the shoots are growing. These are the shoots. New shoots are growing. These are the roots. Right. So basically, the roots, the shoots are going to be the sink, because potatoes actually work on the basis that the roots are actually going to be the source this time, because new shoots are grown. Because without the shoot, there is no photosynthesis to be made. So the mineral, all the mineral and nutrients that the plant needs for the shoots to grow are stored inside the root, and this is called the source, and the shoots are the sink. So we can see that the shoots are 6. Right. Question 19. The diagram shows cross-section of 3 types of blood vessels. Okay. Which section is from a vein and which is from a capillary? Now, very distinct feature. We have to know that V is definitely a artery. We have to know that W is basically a vein, and X is definitely a capillary. Now, how do I know this? We can look at the lumen size or lumen diameter of each. So the artery has the smallest lumen. It has a smaller lumen than the vein, and the vein has large lumen. Right. And capillaries are basically just one cell thick. So V is definitely artery. W is, so let's look at the vein. Which one is the vein? Vein is W. Which one is capillary? It is X. So C is the correct answer. 20. Which disease is transmissible? Now, transmissible, this term means which a disease that can be passed on to other people and organisms as well. This is called the cholera disease, because from the mosquito, it passes on to humans, and humans pass on to humans along each other as well. And there's an endless cycle of disease, so it's called cholera. Now, you cannot pass on lung cancer, coronary heart disease, or scurvy in any way, because these are deficiency. And cancer, obviously, you cannot pass them on. And coronary heart disease is also genetics as well, and sometimes based on the diet that you eat. Okay, 21. The diagram illustrates changes in air pressure taking place in the inside lungs during a complete cycle of breathing. Atmospheric pressure is 101 kilopascal, at which point on the diagrams are the ribs beginning to be lowered. Okay, at A, the pressure in the lungs is going to be the lowest, right? Ribs are becoming lowered. So this definitely goes to the equilibrium position, just like the equilibrium position. Right. At B, the pressure in the lungs increases because obviously the air is going to move from your lungs. Air moves down a pressure gradient, and this is really the main point that they're trying to get you here. So it is because of this pressure difference that you are able to breathe. Okay, question 22. Which pathway is followed by the air passing into the body? Now, air is passed into the body. This is asking you the respiratory tract. Now, firstly, we are going to find the larynx. Now, this is the dangly. This is the larynx is the voice box. Right, you're gonna meet the voice box first. Then, your windpipe, which is the trachea, and then you're gonna meet bronchi, which is going to branch into smaller bronchioles. And this is a very big clue, OLES. If it ends with OLES, then it's going to be something smaller than the original one. And then the alveoli, so A is the correct answer. Question 93. Oxygen is required for aerobic respiration. How many molecules of oxygen are required for aerobic respiration of 3 molecules of glucose? Okay, for this we will have to actually think about it. So 1 molecule of oxygen, we require 6, because remember, aerobic respiration is basically C6H12O6 plus O2 equal the carbon dioxide plus water. Now if we balance it with 6. Now we can see that from this, we can see that we need 6 oxygen. We need 6 oxygen for 1 molecule of glucose. So if we have 3 molecules of glucose, obviously 6 times 3 is 18. So D is the correct answer. Question 24. Which statement about involuntary responses is correct? Now, involuntary responses are responses which you cannot control, which the brain cannot be controlled, and it is basically based on your instinct. Now, that's a good option. 1, they always result in the same response to the same stimulus. Correct. This is correct. Okay. The other options are not correct because they are not learned responses. They are embedded into you when you are born. This is basically the sensitivities of your nerves and something that you cannot control. Right? They never use voluntary muscles. This is not correct. They do use voluntary muscles. They are slower than voluntary responses. No, they are very much faster. Involuntary responses are always faster than voluntary responses. 25. The diagram shows the first part of the kidney tubule and its blood supply. During filtration, protein molecules do not pass through the wall of the glomerulus. Which part contains the highest concentration of protein? Now, the highest concentration of protein is going to be left inside the bloodstream because protein molecules are too big to actually pass through the filtering unit during the process of filtration. So it's actually going to be left in D, right, with higher concentration, because obviously this is the vein because it's going back to the heart. Okay. So 26. The diagram shows a cross-section of human eye, which label spot points to the spot in eye where vision is sharpest. Now, vision is always sharpest in the fovea or your yellow point. At the yellow point or yellow focus point, this is C. At this point, all the lights are actually refracted into here. So this is the back side of your eye. 27. 3D plant shoots have the tips removed. 2 of the shoots have a piece of agar gel placed on them. The agar gel contains oxygen. The shoots are exposed to light coming in from one direction. What is the appearance of the shoots after 2 days? Now this is phototropism because we are using light to see the response of plants and how the plants respond to light. Now for this one, we can see that agar gel containing oxygen, right? What will happen to this oxygen? So oxygen is actually going to bend away away from the light. So this is where the light is coming, right? So the oxygen in here is actually going to bend like this. It's going to bend like this. So oxygen is going to be here. It's going to bend something like this. Okay, and the plant shoot will bend towards the light because, as you know, because the plant shoot doesn't have any oxygen, it's not going to bend towards the light or anything, so it's going to remain normal. Alright, the other two, however, I wasn't reading the question properly. They were asking about how they will respond. Okay, so the oxygen is actually here. So the oxygen is here, but oxygen will always go away from the line. So what I was saying earlier was that when I draw this diagram, what I meant was the oxygen wants to always stay as far away from light as possible. Okay, so it's going to bend somewhere like this because light is coming in this direction, right? The oxygen is here, so it's going to be on the side. So this is the correct way in which the plant will respond. On this one as well, oxygen is going to be left on this side, not on the right side, where light is coming from. So A seems like a reasonable answer. Question 28. The diagram shows a synapse. Heroin affects the neuron. Which label part does the heroin directly affect? Heroin actually affects the the receptor molecule. Now, what this drug heroin does in detail, briefly, is that these heroin molecules are actually, they can bind to the receptor molecules of the neuron. So the message will not get passed along immediately. So the message get blocked. The neurotransmitters get blocked. And heroin is going to stay in there instead of the neurotransmitter blocking the message, and therefore you feel good. So C is the correct answer. 29. What is the advantage of self-pollination? Now, a very big advantage of self-pollination is that isolated individuals can reproduce, which means that single parents, right? Single parents, single mothers, single fathers can reproduce by themselves via mitosis. Reproduction. So C is the correct answer. Question 30. Which feature allows the sperm to dissolve the jelly coating of the egg cell? Now this is the acrosome. In the acrosome, there are digestive enzymes that are enzymes in the head of the sperm, so that it can actually penetrate and dissolve the wall of the egg cell. So it's 31. The graph shows relative concentration of hormones in the blood during 14-28 of the menstrual cycle. Which letter represents the hormone progesterone in a woman who is not pregnant? Now, we have to find the hormone progesterone. Now, progesterone is actually going to help thicken the wall of the uterus, so that when the egg actually gets fertilized, when there's after intercourse, the progesterone is going to help make it a suitable environment for the zygote or the baby to develop, the fetus to develop. So basically during day 14, the progesterone levels will increase, but then they will also decrease as it along. Because why does progesterone decrease? Well, this is because it is not fertilized. If you were to have a baby, or if the egg were to be fertilized, then the progesterone levels would not decrease. It would actually increase like this. However, it's not the case here. So A is the correct answer, and that is the progesterone. Question 32. The diagram shows chromosomes in the nucleus of cell that divides by mitosis. Which diagram shows the chromosome in the nucleus of one of the daughter cells produced? Chromosomes in the nucleus. Okay, what is this asking? This is asking that a nucleus is going to divide by mitosis. Which diagram shows the chromosomes in the nucleus of one of the daughter cells produced? Now, the chromosome number is going to be the same, because mitosis is basically replicating the exact copy. So it's going to have the same number of chromosomes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we are going to find nucleus that contains 8 chromosomes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So C is the correct answer. 33. The diploid number for mice is 40 chromosomes. How many chromosomes will be in a mouse formed by meiosis? Now note, meiosis is actually a reduction division. So it actually reduces, it doesn't multiply whatever you're forming. So 2n is going to form divided into n and n. So this is what I'm trying to say. So diploid number is basically 2n. So 2n is equal to 40. Now how many chromosomes will be in? So this basically asking you the haploid number, or the n number of chromosomes. So 40 divided by 2 is basically 20. And this is going to be 20 chromosomes left. Now, which statement is correct? People with heterozygous for the sickle cell allele has a resistance to malaria. Yes, this is correct. And this is something that you have to learn. This is something that is in your syllabus, and you have to know that people that are heterozygous, what is sickle cell or sickle cell allele, has a resistance to malaria, right? So they have a they are carriers of sickle cell alleles, but they do not have sickle cell anemia. So 35. When antibiotics are overused, they become less effective. Which statement is correct? Well, artificial selection results in resistant strains of bacteria. Now this is wrong. It's actually natural selection resulting in strains of bacteria. Patients become resistant to the antibiotic. No, this is definitely false. The antibiotic causes the bacteria to mutate. Now this is also false because it is natural selection which causes bacteria to mutate. The antibiotic is just one of the factors which indirectly causes bacteria to mutate. Now, indeed, the antibiotics does not kill resistant bacteria. That's correct. Once a bacteria has overcome the antibiotic, once it has been undergo through the process of natural selection, the bacteria will actually be immune, or the antibiotic that was previously used on the bacteria is not going to work anymore. 36. The diagram shows how sewage is treated. Why is air bubbled through the aeration tank? So there's a filtering screen, a settling tank where you filter all the sludge or all the poop in general, and the aeration tank where you blow in air and blow out air. Now this is because air is given into the tank because it is to make sure that microorganism reproduce quickly. Now in this aeration tank, there are actually good bacteria that actually digest these trash or sewage. So these bacteria are helping us out to filter it as well. So this is correct. 37. Which trophic levels has the greatest amount of energy? Now the greatest amount of energy will always be from the bottom of the pyramid to the next level. So the bottom of the pyramid to the next level. So there's A and B. So which will have the greatest amount of energy is definitely A, because A is a tree, it is a mahogany tree. This mahogany tree is going to receive energy from sunlight, and the sunlight only receives 90%. And now the aphids who eats the plants will only receive 10% of the 90%. Now this is called the 10% rule, because as you go along the food chain, the energy that you get from the organism will always decrease. Okay, 38. All organisms share the same genetic code. This means bacteria can be used to make proteins using human DNA. That's correct. Now, how are we going to use bacteria to make human protein? Now, this is something in genetic modification. If you modify the bacteria's DNA, you can actually force the bacteria to produce insulin for us, and this is one of the methods to produce insulin. Okay, question 39. Evidence show that some aquatic organisms have been feminized. What is the most likely cause of this? Well, the most likely cause of this is that female hormones are being introduced to the environment of these aquatic organisms. So when female hormones such as estrogen and progesterone are excreted in contraceptive pills, the organisms that drink the water in which these hormones are dissolved actually turn feminized. So this is one of the answers. B is the correct answer. Question 40. What is not a reason for using chemical fertilizers in fruit production? Well, this is asking for what is not a reason. We use fertilizers to improve growth rate. We use fertilizers for improving mineral content of the soil. We use fertilizers to increase yields, but we do not use fertilizers to reduce competition with weeds, and this is something that fertilizers cannot do. So we have come to the end of the video. I hope you understand every single thing that I tried to explain. If you have any questions, as always, leave your comments and doubts in the comments below. Anyways, thank you for watching. Until next time. Bye.